We're not doing all of these. We're just going to jump around.
Good afternoon, Conqueror.
All right. We're going to underline the hypothesis and circle the conclusion. What word will come before the hypothesis? If, and then what word comes before the conclusion? Then. All right, so what is the hypothesis in number 1? You like the ocean. And then the conclusion is you are a good swimmer. That's your conclusion. We're going to go to number 3. All children must attend school. We want to rewrite this in a conditional sentence with if and then. So I always split it at the subject and the verb. What is the subject of this sentence?
All children.
Yeah, it's about the children. So can anybody take a smack at this? If what?
If you're a child, then you must attend school.
Good. If you are a child, then you must attend school. All right, then we're going to move on to number 5. Number 5, you're going to be writing the conditional, converse, inverse, contrapositive. These are each separate questions on the quiz. So they're about 5 points apiece. Not about, they are 5 points apiece. So we're going to review them. Let P be an animal is a puppy, and let Q be it is a dog. Write each statement in words, then decide whether it is true or false. So in the first, in a conditional sentence, what word will be the very first word? If. All right, we're going to write the hypothesis. What was my hypothesis? An animal is a puppy. So if an animal is a puppy, what can I conclude? Then it's a dog. We do need to decide if it's true or false. Don't overthink these questions. Is that true or false? If an animal is a puppy, then it's a dog. That is true. The next one, we're going to do the converse. What do we do when we find a converse? We switch. Some people were saying flip. That is also fine. Do I switch the words if and then? No. I still do if, but what will come first? If it's a dog. So if it's a dog, then the animal's a puppy. You could have all said if an animal is a dog, then it's a puppy. You just need an animal somewhere in there. And then it's just true or false? It's a false. How many of you have a dog that's older than 2 years old? Yeah, so still a dog, just not a puppy. All right, an inverse. What do we do for the inverse? Starts with an N. You put not. What's that called? Negate. So you go back to hypothesis first, and then the conclusion second, but you're going to negate. So we're going to say if, what do we think? An animal is not a puppy. Good. So if an animal is not a puppy, then it's not a dog. True or false? Still false, because you have old dogs that are not puppies, but still a dog. The last one is the contrapositive. What do we do for the contrapositive? Yeah, so we're going to switch them and negate them. So switch and negate. It's the longest word. It's the one you do the most work on. So we're going to say if. The conclusion will come first. So if what? If it's not a dog, then the animal is not a puppy. So true or false? That is true. What you want to make sure is that your grammar also makes sense. I'm seeing a lot of bad grammar on these. So make sure you read it to yourself before you decide that that's your answer. We're going to do number 6. Decide whether the statement about the diagram is true. Explain your reasoning using definitions you have learned. It says the measure of angle 2, or it's just angle 2, plus angle, I can't read, angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90 degrees. Do we agree with this? Yes, we do. Why do we agree that it adds up to 90? Because it has the right angle. So you're going to say true because it has the right angle symbol. So true because it has the right angle symbol. It's at the bottom of your page. And then we'll flip to the next one. Make sure you put up your smartwatch before the quiz. All right, next page, number 1, it says describe the pattern, then write or draw the next 2 numbers or letters. So what I'm seeing on this is people can figure out the next thing in the pattern, but they can't describe it. Describe it to the best of your ability, because it's worth half of the points. So let's talk about the overall. We have A, 26, B, 25, C, 24. I'm sure we can all guess what comes next. What comes next? D and 23. We all get that. So what does it look like is happening between each of these? There's that, but what is it?
Numbers mean the letters.
So we're doing letter number. So I would write that we're alternating or switching, whatever you want to say. So we're alternating between letters and numbers. Oops, sorry. How do I choose what number comes next?
Go down.
For the letters?
Up.
What order are the letters in? Alphabetical order. So the letters are in alphabetical order. Alphabetical. Alphabetical. Alonzo, what do you think? I don't think it's an A. Well, maybe. I don't know. Alphabetical order, we get it. And then what are the numbers doing?
Subtracting 1.
Yeah, numbers are subtracting 1. I don't know. Maybe it's alphabetical. Whatever. All right, so you get it. So both parts are equally as important. Make sure you describe. The next one, it says make and test a conjecture. So whenever I told you to test, how many tests are you supposed to make?
2.
Nope. 3 tests. Make sure you test a range of different types of numbers. I've seen a lot of bad conclusions because they did the same 3 numbers every time. So number 3, we're finding the difference of any 2 even integers. So what does difference mean? We're subtracting what kind of numbers?
2 different numbers.
2 different even integers. So we're doing even numbers. Does it say whether they're positive or negative? No. So we should try both. So go ahead and give me a positive and a negative even number.
2 negative 4.
Minus 4 minus 2, which is?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. Give me 2 positive. That's an odd number. We want evens. You're good. So you said 6. What's another one? Sure. 6 minus 8, which is? Negative 2. What else do we want to do? Negative 2 and negative 10. Sound good? What happens when you subtract a negative number?
Comes positive.
Comes positive. So what's minus 2 plus 10? 8. So after these 3 tests, you're going to make a conclusion. Your conclusion will look like a full sentence. The sentence will read, the difference of any two even integers, and you'd say is, what conclusion can we make?
They're even.
They're even. I've seen a lot of people make the mistake of saying they're positive or they're negative, but they weren't trying different types of numbers. So make sure you're trying to make each test as different as possible. Number 6 is where we're going to move on to next. Use the law of detachment to determine what you can conclude. Do you have a question? Which question? Greg, which question? The answer is even? 6, 2, and 8? But that doesn't make them not even. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Yeah. I'm not saying positive or negative. That's different. All right, so law of detachment said if P is true, then Q is true. What does P represent? Hypothesis, and Q represents the conclusion. So basically, if you fulfill the hypothesis, or if you match the hypothesis, then the conclusion will happen. So here's what that means. If you go swimming, then you'll get wet. You went swimming. So if you went swimming, does that match the hypothesis? Is the hypothesis true? Yes, you went swimming, so what can I conclude about you?
True.
That I got wet. So you got wet. So you went swimming. It's in past tense, so that's why I got in past tense. That's it. The next one is the law of syllogism. It's different. It's very different. What kind of answer are we looking for in the law of syllogism? It's in the directions. A new conditional statement. What does a conditional statement look like? If and then. So your new answer is going to be if and then. So use the law of syllogism. Here's what I told you guys in the video to look for. You want to look for a repeating phrase. Okay? And that repeating phrase needs to be a hypothesis in one sentence and a conclusion in another. That's what you're looking for. So in number 8, if you study, then you'll pass the exam. If you pass the exam, then you pass the class. Is there a repeating phrase in the two sentences? Yes, what is it? Yeah, the exam, you good? So passing the exam is a repeated phrase. Is one of them a hypothesis and one of them a conclusion? Yes, so what you do, I showed you on the video, you cross them out, cross out the repeating phrase, and then all that will remain is a new conditional statement. So what will my final answer look like?
If you study, then you'll pass it.
Yep. If you study, then you will pass the class. So that's what you would write down. I'm trying to save a little bit of time. So you'd write, if you study, then you will pass the class. And that's your final answer. Number 9, if a straight angle is bisected, then each angle is 90 degrees. If an angle is 90 degrees, then it is a right angle. Is there a repeating phrase? Yeah. The 90-degree part. Is one of them a hypothesis and one of them a conclusion? Yes, so you're going to cross them out. And then all that's left is a new conditional statement. So if a straight angle is bisected, then it is a right angle. This is a true statement. How many degrees is a straight angle? 180. What does bisected mean? Cuts it into two congruent parts. So if you were to cut 180 degrees into two congruent angles, how many degrees would each angle be? 90 and 90. So that's why it says then it's a right angle, because that's 90. Go to the bottom, number 11 and 12. We're going to talk about really quickly. Decide whether inductive or deductive reasoning is used. Inductive reasoning is based off of 3 things. What were they? Nope. Pattern.
Behavior.
Behavior. Starts with an O. Observations. Deductive reasoning is based off of facts. Facts, properties, definitions, things like that. So 11, this weekend the sun was shining and it did not rain. So the next time the sun is shining, you know it will not rain. So is this based off of a fact about the sun or a fact about rain, or is this based off of an observation? That's an observation, so that would be inductive. You need to explain why. So you'd say inductive because it's based off of a pattern or based off of an observation. Number 12 says the product of two even integers is always even. So it's saying this as a fact. What does product mean? The multiplication of two even integers is always even. So good facts. So like 2 times 4, they're both even. What's 2 times 4? 8. If you threw in a negative, negative 10 times 6 is negative 60. If you notice, they're always going to be even. So this is a rule. Because 92 and 14 are even numbers, the product is even. So are they coming to this conclusion about the product of 92 and 4 are even? Are they using a pattern or are they using a rule? A rule. Okay. So that means this is deductive because they're basing it off a rule. If it said, Talmage noticed that every time he multiplies two even numbers, he gets an even answer. That's an observation. That would be, that would be induction. But because of the way it's worded, it says it as a fact. All right, move on to the last page. We've got to hurry a little bit, a lot of bit, because you guys are way behind. Use diagrams to determine whether you can assume a statement. The number one reason students are getting this wrong is this is actually multiple choice on the quiz. So if it's a multiple choice question, what should you do to show your answer? No. No. It's very simple. How do you show me what your answer is? You circle your answer. I'm having many people not circle their answer. Please circle your answer. Seems like it'd be redundant to say out loud, but none of them, I'd say 50% are not doing it. So if it's a multiple choice question, circle your answer. Planes L, and so we're determining what we can assume from the picture. So what we can see in this picture. Planes L, which is this top portion, plane K intersect at PS. So what do we think? Yeah, that one is, you could say true, or can assume. Next one, U, M, and O are coplanar. What does coplanar mean? On the same plane. This is a trick question because most people would say yes. Why is it a no? Can anybody guess? O is good. O is correct. So O is not the problem. It's M. Why is M not on the plane? Dotted line, which means it's behind it. It's not actually on the plane. So this one would be false. On your quiz, this would be known as cannot conclude. Because your quiz asks what you cannot conclude. So you circle this one. 12, it says QOP is a right angle. What do we think?
True.
That's true. Why do I know it's true? As a symbol, yeah. MQ, so M, Q, is on plane L. It's false. Why is this false? Because the dotted line means it's behind. So again, this would be a cannot conclude. What does the last one say? You can just read it to me.
On PS and line MQ intersects at point O.
So PS and MQ intersect at O. Do we agree? Yep, they do. So that one is true. We'll have one more to do together because we don't have time to do anything else. We're really running behind. We're going to do number 2. So it's to solve the equation and justify each step. So what would my first step be? Distribute. So 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 1 is 3. So I would write off to the side distributive property. Is this of equality? It is not. I'm not distributing it to both sides of the equal sign. I'm only distributing it to 1. So even on a problem like number 3, this would not be distributive of equality. So everyone look at number 3 for a second. This would not be of equality because what are you distributing on the left? 1/2. And what are you distributing on the right? 2. If you eat half a pizza, is that different than eating 2 pizzas? It's very different. Okay, so this would still be distributive property. It would just be twice. We go back to our problem. My next step. If you do it in one step, no. If you do it all in one line, I wouldn't. I would just write distributive property. It's just not of equality because you're not doing it one thing to the whole problem. You're doing 2 separate things. We are going to subtract 3 on both sides. So we would write subtraction, property of equality. Please know if I abbreviate prop of equal, it's fine. Had way too many people ask me that today. If I do it, then it's the way that it is acceptable. 15 minus 3 is 12. Why did I write 3x? What's my next step? Divide by 6. So this is the division property of equality. So x equals 2, which is which property? Go ahead and clear your desk of anything besides a pencil and a calculator.